Hi, I'm Manny Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington Realtors Legal Hotline lawyer. Today's question comes out of our Legal Hotline Mailbag. An unlicensed person produced a buyer and seeks payment of a, quote, finder's fee, end quote. Can my real estate firm pay that fee to this unlicensed person? The answer is no. Your firm cannot pay a finder's fee to an unlicensed person because that person brought a buyer to you for a piece of property. And the assumption here is that the property is listed and a buyer is brought, or a buyer is brought and the broker is going to go out and find the property for the buyer. Either way, when a buyer is solicited for purchase of real property, that is the textbook definition. It's better than the word textbook, I should say. It's the statutory definition of real estate brokerage services. If you look at the Washington licensing law, RCW 18.85.010, you will see that the definition of real estate brokerage services includes soliciting buyers for real property. That's what paying a finder's fee is. A follow-up question to this first question was, okay, well, if the firm can't do it, then can I, as a real estate broker, just agree to pay somebody for a finder's fee for bringing me a buyer? And the answer to that question is the same. No. If the agreement is for a broker to pay compensation in exchange for the production of a buyer, that is the payment of compensation in exchange for the provision of real estate brokerage services. That unlicensed person must have a real estate license if they are going to receive compensation for soliciting a buyer. How does that relate to the payment of a referral fee? Remember that in Washington law, and federal law is not so clear. What I'm about to explain to you is lawful in Washington, under Washington law. It could be unlawful depending on how the feds are interpreting RESPA, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. We don't have a clear read on how HUD would interpret the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act with this question, with respect to this issue. So set aside the fact that even though what I'm about to tell you is viable under Washington law, it may not be viable under federal law. But here's what Washington law says with respect to paying a referral fee to an unlicensed person. You may pay a referral fee to an unlicensed person, but the payment of that referral fee may not be contingent upon a successful outcome. You cannot agree to pay a finder's fee to somebody who brings an unlicensed person who brings a buyer to you contingent upon a successful closing. So if an unlicensed person says, hey, I think John Smith might want to buy a piece of property, and you have offered to pay that unlicensed person $100 in exchange for a referral, then you owe that $100 as soon as that unlicensed person says, I think John Smith may want to buy a piece of property. That's when a referral fee to an unlicensed person has to be paid under Washington law, recognizing that even that may be a violation of federal law. But under no circumstances can broker or firm agree to pay a finder's fee to an unlicensed person in exchange for that person going out and finding buyers and funneling them to the broker or the firm. That is clearly the provision of real estate brokerage services, going out and finding those buyers. That unlicensed person must be licensed in Washington state in order to engage in that practice. And the firm is only licensed to share compensation with other licensed firms or brokers licensed to that firm. So a firm may not share its compensation with an unlicensed person. If you have questions on this topic or any other, send an email to me, legalhotline@warealtor.org. Thank you for being a Washington REALTORS member.